We're here to break down Daryl Morey's comments and how do you build the Sixers. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with every winning bet. $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Hello. Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Hello. I said hello. This is my third time saying it. I'm going to keep saying it until you guys get blue in the face. But I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers, the place that you want to come to get the real when it comes down to the Sixers. No sugarcoating, folks. Just two brothers from Philly, keeping it 100 and telling you about the team you love.
Right.
So, Mitch, yesterday, Daryl Morey had his, what they call his State of the Union or whatever, end of the season press conference. And, he said some things. It was a little bland. Now, the one thing, I'm not going to say bland. It was like what you expected. Right. The one thing that he did say, and we're going to get into different things, but I want to talk about this just a little bit, or bring it up. He admitted that the Buddy Hield thing didn't really work the way that he thought it would, right? So that was refreshing. But then he also let it be known that they are going after a wing. He didn't say any names, but everybody and their mom know they're going after Paul George. And then if he can't get Paul George, they're probably going to go after Jimmy Butler, try to see if they can acquire him in the trade. But the thing is, the way that he talked and the way that he said everything, it was kind of sort of like, okay, I expected that. But at the same time, unless they got some stuff up under their sleeve, I get the gist that it may be hard for them to get someone the way that they want, right? So that was a little bit of a takeaway. And it's going to be somebody old. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how they're going to build this roster. And then thirdly, we're just going to break down some things on some players that maybe another player that could come back. Mm-hmm. But what was your biggest takeaway from the whole thing yesterday?
Well, he kind of stated the obvious, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
They've got very few players on the contract. You obviously you've got Joel, you're going to re-sign Maxey, on Paul George for the circumstances he's under. But he said they're in win now mode, and they are in win now mode. But they've been in win now mode
from the time he was hired.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I didn't think. And like you said, it was your typical press conference. It's not supposed to inspire awe. But a lot of the shine that was on Daryl Morey when early on when he was, his career in Houston, I think it's coming off of him now. Again, we talked about it yesterday. This has put up a shut up for him. He's operating. I think the only squad that has more money, as a matter of fact, I know the only team that has more cap space than the Sixers is Detroit. And Detroit's a horrible team. I do like the fact that, he's stating the obvious. We need a wing who can 3-and-D, the 3-and-D guy. Paul George always comes to mind as one of the ultimate guys who can rebound. But again, Paul George is just like Joel. Clock's ticking on him. I saw a statistic yesterday that Jimmy Butler hasn't played in more than 64 games since the 2015-2016 season. So, it's with all of the stuff that the juggling and all the analytics, they have to go all in because it's rare that you had this type of money available to you under the cap. And it's also rare that a team that qualifies for the playoffs has this sort of money available to them. But I didn't walk away from that press conference inspired, you know, and I wanted to be inspired. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe because we're in this era now where you want instant gratification and you would like to see the free agency start yesterday. But you know, he's like we said yesterday, Daryl Morey is on Front Street. You know, he's been given accolades and a lot. He's got very little to show for it. I mean, let's be quite honest about it. You know? So that's where I am with him. That's where I am with them. I'm happy he's going to have as much as $65 million cap space. I'm glad that you got Joel when you have him, and I'm glad that Tyrese Maxey is an emerging star. But man, this is it's you know, Joel's got the Olympics, and he's going to do that this summer. But the biggest player in all this summer is, without question, Daryl Morey.
Yeah. You're 100% right. He's the biggest player this summer. Now, here's the thing: the hard part about what's going on is, so you said the win now mode. They've been in win now mode for the last couple of years. Since they've been in win now mode since he was here. Yeah. That's the reason why he came, right?
That's the reason why the NBA exists.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did have a process for like X amount of years, right, bro? Like we did have that. So, but the thing is, and the one thing about the NBA, you got half the league trying to win, the other half trying to acquire assets and things like that. But here's the deal: that's why he came here, to win.
Right.
Win now mode. They say, look, man, you get out here, you got to win, you got to do what you got to do. The problem is that a lot of this stuff is predicated on what other teams are willing to do. Like, for instance, you know, Paul George, if the Clippers say, like, Paul George is eligible to get 4 years, $221 million from the Clippers, right? The problem with that is like with the new CBA and all that, they're going to be strapped. They want to keep a lot of people. Now, if they say they want to give him that money, then if he agrees with it, then what are you going to do with the Sixers? Be like, sorry, y'all, but I ain't coming. Now, the Sixers can offer him 4 years, $212 million, right? So he can take that. But do you want to leave and go there? Do you want to leave the Clippers and come to Philly? Right. Now, here's the thing. Jimmy Butler. The deal with Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler has another year left on his deal. He's going to ask for an extension. If he doesn't get the extension, then there's a thought around the league, or there was a thought around the league, that Miami would say, look, let's just trade him, get rid of him, right? Now, the problem with that is if they're saying they're not going to do that. So the deal is everything that Daryl Morey is trying to do is not like is a clean slate, like they're saying, where you can just throw money at these dudes. Right. And they just take it. You understand what I'm saying? Like the other team has the first right of refusal, so to speak. Right. You know what I mean? So that's the problem. And that's why he didn't seem so. I mean, they all say they're confident, but come on, man. He said the reason why he feel good about the future is because I got Joel Embiid, I got Tyrese Maxey, and I got Nick Nurse. Well, bruh, you had Joel Embiid, you had Tyrese Maxey, and you had Nick Nurse. Tyrese Maxey had a career year. Joel Embiid was about to be Wilt Chamberlain until he got hurt. Yeah, but you had all three of those dudes, and y'all still couldn't get out of the first round.
Yeah, and that's things haven't changed. I mean, he stated a lot of the obvious, but that curse remains. I mean, they've had two in back-to-back seasons now. The 76ers have had championship pedigree coaches. Doc Rivers, like him or not, he's a champion. Nick
Nurse. Can't blame Brett Brown no more.
Can't blame Brett Brown anymore. So, and a lot of people say that this is systemic, man. That this is systemic of the organization. And that's why they're in this. They're wandering in the championship wilderness longer than the Hebrews wandered in the wilderness, man. So it's time for them to make an exit. from that situation. And again, it's all in his lap. It's all in the lap of Daryl Morey. You can run, but you can't hide. And I think he's going to make every effort, but it's time for this stuff to start paying off with him. It's time for this stuff to start paying off with him. So yeah, and we'll talk more about this in the second segment. But right now, this next segment is going to be brought to you by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week as well. You're still trying to get over the 76ers losing in the first round, to the New York Knicks. But the reality of it is we've all got bigger things in our lives. And, what happens with basketball teams proliferate with $1 million athletes. And you know what? Therapy.
Sweet me, baby, sweet me. Like, let me stop on
therapy can help, and it can be different for just about everyone. Most of us have bigger problems, like I already said. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, you should really consider BetterHelp. It'll help you in your day-to-day life, and maybe you've got a family member, you see struggling with something. So visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Yeah, you do. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you and your likes every day, and to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Every day. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today.
Do it till the fluid gets hot.
You know what's funny, man?
Do it till you're satisfied.
I was talking to our mutual friend, and I was like driving down the road yesterday, and we were on the phone. And no, I wasn't like this, people. So But anyway, so he was like, "Do it till the fluid gets hot," and he's like, "Come on, Keith, you don't remember that?" I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah, Keith, that's breakwater, man.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I was
like, we're about to take your card. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you probably will.
But you know what, Keith? If you heard it, you would recognize, because they were.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You would instantly recognize. You would say, "Oh yeah, I know breakwater."
So it was what, in the 80s?
It was in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. You say you're gonna have me going on my phone while trying to make sure stuff.
You were running around with that sheepskin and that kangaroo. I remember.
Oh yeah. Oh, so yeah. Absolutely. You remember back in the day when you would get one of those coats and your mom would be like, "Yo, I gotta get a sheepskin. I gotta get a kangaroo," and she like, "Boy, you gonna wear that stuff for a couple years now." But daggone well, the next year you was getting something else.
And don't come home with spots on it, because then she get to licking her finger and going on your shirt, on your coat, or whatever your clothes.
I know, right? Breakwater. See, now you got me looking them up now. But look, while I'm looking up breakwater, I gotta ask my man, how do the 76ers build this thing? Because let's look at it now. I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They look phenomenal. A lot of people are like, yeah, see, they got 3 max dudes. They got Rudy, they got Cat, and they got Anthony Edwards. Well, they drafted 2 of the guys, and then they went out and got Rudy. But Rudy's a different type of player. Now You look at a team like, and I hate keep bringing them up, but they're the poster child of super teams going wrong. Talking about the Phoenix Suns. They went out there, got themselves a championship caliber coach, a bubble coach, but they got themselves a championship caliber coach. They went out there and picked up 3 elite scorers, and now they got swept because guess what? All 3 of them can't have the ball at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only one of them has the ball at one time, and that's what they do. They score. So, I'm asking you, bro, how do the Sixers build this team?
Man, it's interesting. I wish if we could just wave the magic wand, we would swap out GMs and bring in my man Tim Connolly, who's built Denver and who's built Minnesota, and is a young guy who was, believe it or not, was at that broken down and beaten up jalopy known as the Washington Wizards. That's where he got his start under Ernie Grunfeld. And I was there, and I would have never thought that Tim Connolly would rise to the level of being like the GM in the NBA. He and my man Calvin Booth, who I covered him when he was in Washington. But obviously, the guys who appeal to me, and again, maybe people are realizing that the magic just doesn't necessarily exist on a general manager like Daryl Morey. But the guys I'm watching, guys like OG Anunoby. I know I keep bringing back, and I guess I'm harping. I become nostalgic for the guys that we did not get during at the trade deadline. I mean, my guys were Siakam and my guys were OG. I don't think I'm not wedded to building a team with these older guys, man. I'm just not. I mean, because that's not what you brought. Granted, we're in the window now, but you have 2 guys that are your superstars. You got Tyrese Maxey. You're going to max him out. You're going to put $205 million in his pocket, and you're going to make his family tree wealthy for the next 3 centuries. All right. So do you go after the Paul George? I am a Paul George fan, but he'll be what? He's 34 years old now.
But don't Paul George flame out in the playoffs too, though? Isn't that his not?
Yeah, he tends to. But you know what, though? I think that team, that Clippers team, they, number one, they brought in James Harden. They brought in the traveling voodoo doll. And number 2, you just can never, and that's the similarity. That's the similarity between the Clippers and the Sixers. You have, Paul, Kawhi can never stay. I love Kawhi's game. Who doesn't love Kawhi's game? But the thing that he and Joel have is, it's the load management. It's the inability to be helped to develop that chemistry down the stretch. Okay, Kawhi's not playing tonight. Kawhi's not playing tomorrow. And I do believe, unless you have young studs, see Minnesota, your chemistry at the end becomes kind of shaky because when older guys go down and miss any time, even a week, they lose conditioning faster. So I just don't know. I think the best way to build this team is I'm going to contradict myself a little because if I had to choose between the 2, Paul George is if they had that option, if it's available to him, Paul George is less dramatic than Jimmy. And I'm a Jimmy Butler fan, but I just kind of think that he's got some tread on him now, and he's gonna come. He can come back.
You think Jimmy would be the equivalent of going after getting Chris Webber?
No, I think he's got more tread. I mean, Chris was at the end, and Chris didn't really want to be here at all, man. Chris,
nah, he wasn't about that smoke.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, he was not ready to.
These people here crazy.
Right, but it's like you got it. It's a young man's game. This is a young man's game. Joel Embiid is our 30-year-old, and if we're being quite honest, he's a very, very old 30.
Look, I'm gonna just say this about Joel. So Joel and Cat had the same injury, right?
Yeah.
I'm watching Cat move around yesterday, and I'm like, and we're talking about Cat as in Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm like, one dude is really hampered, and the other dude is moving around like, I'm good.
I'm good.
You know what I'm saying? And that concerned me a little bit by watching them when you realize they got similar injuries. And it's like, how is one guy? And me and you, we talked about it before. It's like one dude in shape, the other one's not.
Yeah.
And then other things that happen. So you're like, yo, this is crazy. Now, again, this is a second operation on that knee, second operation that we know of.
Right.
On the knee. But man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's literally crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And maybe Joel will notice that Cat is also carrying around about 40 fewer pounds than Joel is. So maybe he'll recognize that.
Before you get into the live read, I want to say this though. Mm-hmm. We talk about building teams. From what I saw yesterday by looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves was heart, toughness too.
Yeah.
Them dudes was like, it was kind of like if we weren't on a basketball court, if they weren't on a basketball court and they was just like at a bar fight, the Timberwolves would have beat them too. Because I saw Cat and them just walking up to dudes, giving them like shoulder shoves and all this. They was getting physical. These dudes looking at the refs like, was y'all gonna help us? The ref like, nah, B. That's when y'all man up. You see the coach getting all like he was trying to coach his butt off, yelling, screaming, doing this, doing that.
Yeah.
But his team was out there getting their heart.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I mean, I know Ant-Man is the man. I know all those, but I saw a lot of dudes. I'm not trying to say they got punked.
Yeah, the refs were like it was like in that Denzel Washington in Training Day, at the end when the guy, when Denzel was about to lose it, and he was calling on his people in that little circle, and they were like, "You got to put your own work in here tonight, homie."
Exactly. That's what it was like.
Yeah. So we'll talk further about what some of the things the 76ers can do in the off season, and what we think they might be able to do as the season, in the off season. But right now, we want to talk about another one of our sponsors. Just want to make mom smile? Start Mother's Day with flowers or surprise her with gifts from the brand she loves, delivered the very same day with DoorDash. Moms are a gift, so give her the best this Mother's Day. Get gifts as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. Select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best of tech, to self-care essentials and more, delivered right to her door. So just make sure you get all those thoughtful gifts that she deserves with the convenience you need. Choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead. And you don't even have a week left if you're going to take care of your mom for Mother's Day. But schedule a week ahead for flowers and gifts that should arrive at her door with DoorDash. So get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place. Get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order. Now with code LOCKEDONNBA. It's Locked On NBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply.
Do it today, people. My man said, definitely do it today with DoorDash. So, Mitch, here's my question to you. So, we looked at it. We talked about yesterday. We talked about Tobias, right? Mm-hmm. My question is Paul Reed. Now, I know the Sixers have a non-guaranteed deal for him for like $7 million. It became non-guaranteed since they didn't make the playoffs. Since they didn't make the second round. Mm-hmm. Do you bring him back?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I bring Paul Reed back. From the standpoint of developing players, which you don't often see in this organization, mm-hmm. They either give up on somebody who they may have headed in the right direction. Matisse Thybulle comes to mind, even though he still hasn't really found his offense. But no, I like Paul Reed. I look back to the Knicks series I think he was improperly used during the Knicks series. I think he's a guy who will grind out for rebounds, who will fight for offensive rebounds, who will do all the. And this is cliche, but he'll do all the dirty things. And he became a better scorer. So as a guy is starting to develop and ascend, let's keep this guy. You've got bigger issues. You got to make a decision on Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield's an interesting player for them as well, but because I'm even though he was study Hield until Game 6, second quarter, and then Nick Nurse reached over and put him on lock. In that series, he locked him down. He defended Buddy Hield better than anybody on the planet could have. But I am indeed a Paul Reed fan. I like his energy. You need energy. You need youthful exuberance, and you need a guy who I think he wants to be better. I think he's not drinking from that cup that gets passed around in the NBA that just says basically let's get paid. I don't think he's drinking from that cup.
Yeah, I think I also think that, I think that it was unfortunate for him where they had more athletic bigs than we thought. Not saying they could do the stuff that Paul could do, but as far as rolling to the basket, they were tough to stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
For him. And they kept attacking him. They sped the game up for him.
Right.
But I'm with you, man. I think Paul needs to come back. You kind of feel sorry for the brother just because of that contract he got. It sounded really good last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yo, he gonna get paid. He got paid. He this, he that. Everybody was congratulating him, and now everybody's like, oh, dang, dude, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It is what it is. I'm with you. I'm with you when it comes to him. I believe he deserves to come back. And think about it. They need some players. Now the only problem is is a non-guaranteed, so they can do whatever they want. But if you really want to max out players and you want to do this and do that, like, can you get somebody for less than that $7 million to do the same thing? You know what I mean? Like me, I'll be honest with you. I'm extremely interested to see what Drummond decides to do.
Yeah.
The free agent, bro. Free agent. You know what I mean?
And Lord knows we could have used a backup center. Man. Yeah.
Because, like, if you could get Drummond, that's the only question. Like, if you want to use Paul Reed as a hybrid, a guy who can play a 4-5, then I see it. I like it. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want Drummond. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm the Sixers, I want Drummond. And
right.
Is Drummond willing to take another minimum? Like, a couple years, dude. If so, that works out. If not, then you got to think long and hard on, like, what you're trying to do with Paul Reed. That's the only question. But as a hybrid big, yeah. And then also, but my thing is, that's when you got Nico Batum. What you going to do with him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you got Drummond as a backup 5 and you got Nico as a 4, and you change him a 4, it's kind of like that's where Paul Reed minutes get a little messed up. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. But go ahead. What you got to say on that?
But but those guys contribute. I mean, Nico Batum came in here and contributed, and his contributions went up in the in the playoffs. They're gonna be trying to push that minimum on a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, that's what they was doing. And see, that's the funny part, like with the Tobias Harris thing, where they're like, oh well, yeah, we can bring him. Not to say they're gonna push a minimum on him. But the gist of what Daryl Morey said something about Tobias, it was like, yeah, but we got the CBA and da-da-da, meaning, bro, you ain't getting nowhere close to 40, right? So with that being said, Tobias is out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But last year, like, they wanted to bring guys back. They said, oh, yeah, we'll bring you back. Take this minimum. And they're like, oh, no, we good. We good.
Work for Kelly Oubre.
Huh? It worked for him. Yeah, but that's only because he didn't have anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately,
And that makes you wonder.
Yeah, it makes you wonder big time. So, you know what I mean? That's the crazy thing. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. We want y'all to have a blessed day. We also want you to know that you can come here and get this podcast 5 days a week. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, on our Locked On 76ers channel. For Keith and Mitch, we want to thank you guys for listening and want y'all to have a blessed day and watch a game tonight and hope the team you're rooting for doesn't get punked. Get punked out there. That was crazy. But all right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, y'all.